And now, the Von Akron Show.
God, I still love that intro so much. Thank you, Brian Hagan, for doing your echoey voice on that. This is the Von Akron Show, number 17. The sweet... No, I already used that. We can't use Sweet 17. Anyway, it's going to be a loose format tonight. We might have a special guest or two. I'm going to go ahead and start off by bringing in some guests who are on here frequently. So we've got Diggs, Jake Digman. What's up?
I'm doing good. I'm amazed to let the show go on.
Yeah. Like things kind of fell apart at the last minute, and then we pulled things right back together. Sarah, how are you doing?
Great.
Good. So I don't know. It should be a fun time. It may not be. I don't know. I'm the host, so your mileage may vary. But hopefully everybody else can help me fill in the gaps. I had a...
Can I disappear? I'm going to disappear for 1 second.
Please.
Okay.
Don't. No, go ahead.
Can I bring something up, Nick?
Yes,
right
please
off the bat here.
Yes.
So the reason why I said that I'm amazed that they let the show go on, I found out yesterday that I got banned from doing live videos on Facebook because I accidentally hit the live button, like the go live button, and it said I was banned for an offensive thing for 29 days.
What were you doing?
I didn't do it. What it said I did, I was like, I didn't even. Yeah, I'll tell you off air what it was.
Okay. Well, yeah. So, luckily
I can tell you on air what it was. It was something to do with a picture of when Time Magazine was when Hitler was declared Man of the Year.
Well, he was most influential man of the year at one point.
It was that cover of Time Magazine. I had not seen that picture in I don't know how long. Certainly not on the date that it said that I was anywhere near that. So I don't know if it was comment on an old post or what it was, but yeah. So they're like, but I can still post things. I just can't go live, which I'm like, that's really weird.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen to me because of you. Guilt by association.
Hey, if we go down, then we're going to find out what it is.
But you've got a backdoor into live right now, just through this third party and through my account. So that's good. We're also streaming live on YouTube. I don't even check the stats there. I have no idea who's watching or isn't watching. And then after the show, we actually do post this to the Von Akron Show page. So you can get all the archives there as well. I'm going to bring in Dave Higgins real quick, too, because he's decided to join us tonight. How's it going, Dave?
Hello. How you guys doing?
You are looking spectacular. I
did
love...
a little bit of quarantine shaving.
Well, that's good. You should get some tips to Jake. And also that beard is just... what do the kids say these days on Fleet? On a flick?
I don't know what the kids say these days.
Sarah, you're young. Do you know? I can't hear you. You have no sound, Sarah.
You are muted, Sarah.
That's okay. Sarah's going to be our resident mime tonight. Please just don't try to continually escape from invisible walls. And there she goes. Yeah, I don't know. Dave, again, last minute thing. I contacted you, I don't know, 15 minutes ago.
I don't really have a life, so.
Hey, none of us do right now. So look, it's been crazy scrambling to put together a show. And I'm like, what the hell? I haven't had one of the most important people of my entire life on this show. And I contacted her and she said, sure, what the heck? I'll be on your dumb show, son. It's my mom. And I'm going to bring my mother in right now. There's my mom.
It's Nick's mom.
Her name is Barbara, by the way. So
Barbara.
Hello.
I think we'll talk about a bunch of stuff on the show tonight, hopefully. But, since we've got a new, and I still can't hear you, Sarah. No. Since we have a new guest on the show, my mother, I think we will start there. Kara, are you going to join us? Okay, come. All right, my wife's going to join us as well. Anyway,
Can you hear each other?
you need to hit the mute button over there. We're doing real professional stuff here,
Barb,
Mom.
can you hear Nick?
I can hear him. Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
What?
that's a win.
I'll let you guys know too, like what completely perplexed me in the beginning, like when we were testing out the setup for this show, is that my mother could hear everybody else and I could hear her, but she couldn't hear me.
And now nobody can hear me.
Now we can
I
hear
hear
you
you,
now,
Sarah.
We can hear you.
We hear you.
Oh,
You're
thank
there.
God. Awesome.
You're back.
Yeah,
It
the
just-
first time's a charm.
Yeah, it just kind of blows my mind because I don't understand how that could possibly happen. I don't know if my mom just instinctively hit mute because I talk so much. That was the joke. You know, I think my mom said, I'm the oldest, and said she couldn't wait till I started talking. And then once I did, she couldn't just wait for me to shut up. But let's get into Barbara here a little bit.
Well, Nick, if I may interject,
Please.
you know, they say kids are like pancakes. The first one comes out a little weird.
That's primarily because we don't know what we're doing yet.
That correct.
Yeah, exactly.
I can say my brother was also.
Well, I guess that explains me.
Explains a
Right?
lot, doesn't it? Mm-hmm.
She's like, I'm done.
Let's fix that real quick here. Yeah.
It's good to see everybody.
Yeah, it's just a show riddled with issues here, isn't it?
My microphone's wrong. Hello, hello. There we go. Now I can talk.
There.
Yeah, I've got issues with the second microphone. I don't understand why. Anyway, so we'll start in the beginning, Mom. My mom was born sometime around mid to late 1970s, early 80s, somewhere
yeah,
around
that's
there.
great, sure.
She's still 29.
And
Right.
she is the daughter of my two favorite people in the world, which were my grandparents. They were immigrants. And I guess I don't have show notes, but I think I know you well enough, Mom, to just kind of go off the cuff here. So growing up, I know when you were little, you guys had the house kind of like where the Inner Belt in Akron is now, not the gay club, but the road. And so you grew up in a little bit of a rough neighborhood, but what was it like just growing up the daughter of immigrants at that particular time, especially because that wasn't that long. I mean, the 70s really wasn't that long, after the war ended.
Okay, so we clearly know it wasn't the 70s, but at any rate, I don't think I knew any different. So when I got in my neighborhood, which was a rough neighborhood, it was near South High School.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke kind of a combination of English and Schwabian, what my parents spoke. And, I played with all the kids in the neighborhood. It wasn't really a big cultural thing when I was very small, but we moved out of the neighborhood because we were actually the last white group family to move out of the neighborhood. So it was a little bit different.
So before you guys moved out, was it an ethnic neighborhood in the sense of European ethnic, or was that just the
No.
neighborhood where that was affordable at that time? And who all lived in that house? Was it just you and mom and dad, or was it extended family?
No. So when I was born, which I don't remember, I lived with grandpa's parents.
You don't
I
remember
don't.
being
Yeah, I
born?
don't. Yeah. Who knows? I lived with grandma and grandpa, with grandpa's parents, with the Habels. And then my parents got their own house on Leroy Street in Akron, which was the ghetto, but it was affordable. And then from there, when I was 6 years old, we moved to Mogador.
So
in the house you currently reside in.
Yeah, so you moved to Mogador when you were 6, and then at that time, I mean, a lot of folks listening, they have no idea what Mogador is or what it looks like or anything. At this point, it's basically a bedroom community suburb of Akron, Ohio, house next to house next to house. But when you first moved there, it was what? It was the model house. It was the very first house built on the street.
It wasn't the first. It was second from the last. So the house next to you that used to be the Cruz house.
Nick's been lying to me all this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to get a lot of that tonight.
Yeah. So that house was built, and across the street, not where James lives, but next to him, was built.
Okay.
The rest of the road was empty.
So the other Jim.
So Jim, no,
well, across the street we had Jim, and Jim.
So Jim, James, next to James on the other side.
He's also a Jim.
Yeah, he's also Jim.
Okay, so Jim, Jim, and Jim. The rest of it was all empty, and the road was dirt, and it was like the clay dirt. Like I always kid around, like I lost a couple pairs of shoes in that road because they would just suck them off your feet because we had no sidewalks as well.
And they're probably still there underneath somewhere, unless they excavated them when they put in the sewers.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
One day they'll.
And when we were kids, all the rest of the houses were being built. So we would go onto the construction sites. Now, don't tell your children about this. So
Mom, I've done so much worse than what you're about to tell me.
Oh, I'm sure. And we go in the basements, and then they had a crab apple orchard all through the rest of the road. So we'd take the little crab apples and we'd put them on sticks and we'd hurl them at cars.
Of course I did that. Yeah, the whole street, growing up when my grandparents lived here, the whole street was lined with crabapple trees, and we would, put them on the, actually grandfather taught me that trick. Did he teach you that trick?
No, I think Mom? I learned that one on my own.
Because grandpa, he used to, my grandfather, he grew up in Yugoslavia during a really rough time, pretty much his whole life. You know, even before World War II, there was the partisans and there was a bunch of warring there. Anyway, so it was a rough situation. And he told me the story about how he used to take mud, essentially, and put it on the end of one of those like dowel rods or a stick or whatever and like just fling it because it was fun. Mm-hmm. And one time, him and his friends went to the railroad tracks and they found this really pliable mud. It was awesome. And they did it with that and launched it at a thatched roof, and it caught on fire because it was C4 because some partisans were trying to blow up a bridge. But so yeah, that microphone is so screwed up. I'm sorry. So
he's just trying to mute me.
I have no finger on the mute button right now.
No, he literally is. That's what it is. It's not broken. He just doesn't want me.
So how was it for you growing up in Mogador? It's a small town, daughter of immigrants. I mean, you did the whole thing. You graduated from Mogador High School. How did that go?
Well, you know what was interesting when I was going through school, probably from third grade on, I had nobody to help me with my homework because Grandma and Grandpa didn't have, an education. They didn't understand a lot of the language and the math skills that I had to do. So I was really on my own. That's why they bought that big set of Encyclopedia Britannica, because they thought that would help me get through school. I think Nick still has the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Keep reading those crazy. Every day. No, that's also kind of like a parent trying to learn Common Core.
I'm going to throw this microphone in a lake.
And I'm trying to figure out Common Core to teach my own child math, and I'm walking through it, and I'm...
Try to get a little closer.
Am I closer?
No, it's a...
He's muted. He's deafening my voice.
Nick,
if you explain real quick, and I apologize, but I've tried 5 different cables on this microphone, and they all work when you first connect them. I got to take the whole thing apart, clean it, something like that. But wait, who's going to interject? Diggs?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can anybody hear? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay, just checking to make sure.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't. I put headphones on. I was just checking to make sure. Yeah, that was all.
Okay, good.
Sorry to interrupt the show.
The whole show is an interruption. If you haven't got that yet,
I feel interrupted.
So you were kind of on your own, Mom, as far as learning at school, because I know grandfather. He went to about 4th grade, and he alternated that between him and his many siblings. At least during farm work time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he moved to America and became a machinist. We can have a whole show about how amazing that was. But so, and then you went to high school in Mogador, and you were a statistician for the football team, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, when I was in 6th grade.
Oh, so you were hanging out with those high school guys when you were in 6th grade.
No, it was the Pee Wee football team. However,
Yeah,
yes, I did hang out with the older crowd when I was in high school. And actually, junior high.
Well, 6th grade. Can you hear me through here at all?
Mm-hmm.
Not much. We can hear you.
You guys, okay,
We
I
can
can't hear
hear you.
myself. But the 6th grade, the elementary school goes K to 6. So, Pee Wee.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. So, and then in high school, I don't know, you got into photography. I've got photos you took. I've got photos of Washington, D.C., all kinds of fun stuff. Whatever kind of macrame you were into at the time, you took photos of. I've got that. And then, you know, at that time when did you start working for the Acme Click, which for folks who don't know is it's a local store. It's a local grocery store. And it was sort of the proto Walmart actually at one point as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you start working there?
Well, yeah, let me just go back just a little bit.
Please.
So I think it was 1974 was when
You were 3 years old.
Yeah. My class, sophomore class, we got to go to Washington, D.C. And that was during Watergate. And while we were there on a program called Close Up. And that's where high school students go to Washington. And while we were there, we had a film crew with us doing a documentary for the Close Up program. So I'm in a documentary somewhere.
You've never found the footage of this?
No. Mm-mm.
And we don't have it on Super 8 reels somewhere in the basement?
No, because we weren't doing it. We actually had a film crew with us.
I see.
Yeah, so I saw Jerry Ford at the Senate. I saw Hubert Humphrey. I saw Watergate, all kinds of things like that, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, Dave, were you with us when we went to Watergate?
I don't know.
It might have been a different trip to DC, but I actually got to go.
I don't remember. I mean, we saw a bunch of stuff, but I remember we didn't do a lot of sightseeing just because it was so much of a pain in the
Oh,
butt.
yeah. So it wasn't then, but I actually had an opportunity to hang out with Wes Benedict, who at that time was the chair of the Libertarian Party, and his offices, well, the offices of the National Libertarian Party were in the Watergate building, which was weird, but interesting. So then working at the grocery store, I mean, and the only reason I bring that up is because at that time, that was a union job and it paid pretty darn well.
It did. I started there when I was 16 and kept going. When I graduated from high school and didn't go to college right away, I was making more money than more college graduates were at that point in time.
No, I believe it. I mean, I know people from my childhood who used to watch us when we were little. The mother, she's still there. I'm not going to name names, but yeah, apparently it wasn't so bad. But then what made you decide that maybe you don't want to work at the grocery store forever and you want to, I think it was after I was born for sure, maybe after Kylie was born, my sister, that you wanted to go into nursing?
Well, after working at the grocery store and graduating from high school, making as much money as a college graduate, it didn't make sense to go to college for me because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then you and your sister came along and it's like, I got half a brain. I don't want to spend the rest of my life in a grocery store arguing with stupid people. I had a lot less tolerance back then.
So you decided to go into nursing and argue with stupid people.
Yeah, so
Well, no,
argue with
actually,
moms like me.
I started out to work as a medical technologist. I wanted to work in a laboratory because I didn't want to work with people. I was sick of working with people. But I found out that being a medical technologist had its limits on my job opportunities, and that's why I went to nursing.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife wanted to get into medical technology, and she had a real hard time finding a position in that field. It's taken something like 7 years after graduation to actually find a full-time job in a lab doing that kind of work. It's been fun.
Well, that's the reason I changed too, because it's like the job opportunities were there. They were mostly night shift, and I just wanted more opportunity for whatever career path I was going to take. So I got one of the last places, either the second or the last place for the nursing program I got into. I kind of lucked out.
Where was that? Was it that wasn't University of Akron, or was that some other?
No, so I took classes at Akron U. I took classes at Stark Tech, but my nursing degree is from St. Thomas School of Nursing at St. Thomas Hospital.
Oh, okay. And I remember when you graduated, because I saw pictures and I kind of remember it. I think I had a horrible sunburn. We were all kind of sunburnt. I don't know what happened before that, but I remember that little snippet of life. And then I also remember, two things. One of the reasons why I was such a germaphobe as a kid is because my mother would sit there and read her textbooks and just warn me about all of the different pathogens and how they worked and all the different illnesses and diseases. And yeah, it kind of freaked me out. I wasn't able to eat at a person's house that wasn't my house. I mean, or my grandparents' house, barely my father's house ever. Like, I was terrified to eat any place that wasn't home. It took me a long time to get over that.
Thanks, Barb.
But you know,
Right?
it helped with your education to bounce that off your kids. So good. And then the second thing, I know that I was a little bit of a pyro when I was a kid. You know, I can admit that. And I do remember, at least at one point, I have a vague memory of when you worked at the Rainbow Babies and Children's with the children that were burn victims. And I don't know if you took me there or showed me pictures or what it was, but it made an impact on me. And the impact was, be much more careful when you're starting fires. Do not get burned.
That is one way to tell your child to not start a fire. Here you go.
Yeah.
This is what I deal with every day.
Well, yeah. So it wasn't actually at Rainbows. I worked at Children's Hospital in neonatal intensive care. That was my first job out of nursing school.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I worked in a different department, and then I went to Children's Home Care. And because the regional burn center is at Children's Hospital, I did a lot of burn dressings. So I took care of a lot of people who had been burned. So I saw, ages from, babies all the way to, like I say, cradle to grave. And I did a lot of different burn dressings from a lot of different situations. So whether it's somebody that fell into a campfire, or a child that was intentionally burned by their parents, or other varieties of things. I had workers' comp claims where they touched like 440 electricity and it blew out their fingers. I mean, I saw all kinds of different burns.
What do you think was the most common? I'm curious to know.
Most common was scalds. So hot water, hot liquid. And a lot of times with kids, I remember having one kid whose mother was taking a pan of sausage that she had cooked, and she was going to take the grease and put it into a container or something. And the kid came right behind her and it spilled all over the kid's back.
Oh.
So, I mean, and you don't realize for the human body and skin, it doesn't take that big of a temperature to actually cause a very severe burn.
What temperature does it happen?
Especially younger kids. Young kids are. I mean, I remember when you were a kid, like everything was super hot. Your mom would fix you a bath, or something like that, and it's like, and now my kid's doing that right now, and I'm like, that's not hot. Feel it. Get in there. And he's.
They're much more sensitive. So I had kids who were put like in hot water and were scalded, that I did burn dressings for. I mean,
just like a bath.
From a hot bath. And these were like kids with spina bifida and things where they couldn't feel anything, and put into the water for too long, and then they've got second degree burns, not third, but second degree burns where it blisters.
I had a friend that actually, he was 22 2 and was actually at Akron Children's for 60% of his body was burned. He is no longer with us. Not because of that, but for something else. But it was weird to think that a friend would end up at Akron Children's when they're 22.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just because they have that good of a burn unit.
Yeah, so they
yes, it's the regional burn unit. So Akron Children's, because they're a regional center, they cover 17 counties. So when I did the home care for them, when I was on call for the weekend, I could conceivably be in 17 different counties.
I mean, Ohio has 88 counties, but still 17 counties is kind of insane. That's sort of what I cover right now. And that's, I'm driving an hour and a half one way to get to some of these.
Yeah. So, I mean, you probably see it, Nick, when you're out and about. A lot of these counties south of our metropolitan area here in northeastern Ohio have very small hospitals and very kind of low tech.
If any.
So, so they get sent up to, your regional centers. So when I worked at Children's, when I did neonatal intensive care, the babies would come up to us. And when they got well enough, we do a reverse transport and send them back to the hospital. So I did a lot of that where I rode in the ambulance to take the babies back. Some of these hospitals were like as big as a drug mart. They're just teeny tiny things. Mm-hmm.
So more like urgent care centers, essentially.
Yeah.
So moving along too, so we're not dwelling too much in the past because we want to get up to the present, because that's where I think Jake might have some input, and my wife certainly will, and I know my mom will. But so you did that, then you went into visiting nursing, which also I remember as a kid scared because of some of the situations you went into. Mm-hmm. I know you carried pepper spray. You went into some of the worst neighborhoods, but it's God's work. I mean, these people need care. It's just it's a bad situation, no fault of their own typically. And then eventually after that, you decided to still be a nurse. And I don't think a lot of people even understand that this exists, but you can be a nurse and not be seeing patients. Mm-hmm. So, eventually you got out of that. And then was it right after that you went into legal nursing, or was that when you went into corporate nursing?
Well, I kind of went from, let me think that my transition here.
Nobody's going to fact check this.
Okay. Well, I went from home care. I worked for 3 different agencies as a field nurse and as a director of nursing. And I got tired of being on call. So then I did occupational nursing. So I was on site at a manufacturing facility. And that's kind of where I learned OSHA, occupational nursing, got into workers' comp. So honestly, I think it's been like 20 years now I've been in the workers' comp arena, either as an administrator, a nurse, a case manager for various companies. And that's what I do now too, part-time.
And so my mom's been one of those meanies who tries to figure out if you're trying to fake a workers' comp claim and bust you.
I got some good busted stories too.
Well, and then my stepmom is also, you can't hear me.
Yeah, it's.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
My stepmom also works for a law firm, and she does law nursing. So she left the field of nursing a long time ago as well.
Yeah, and that was interesting when Carrie and I got together because it's similar fields. But what are some of the more extreme cases without violating HIPAA laws or anything that you saw, busting people for violating their workers' comp claim situations?
Okay, so I used to work for a company in Hudson called the Little Tykes Company.
I've never heard of them.
Never
heard. Yeah, me either.
Not with kids, never once.
Never. But their program was really bad when I got there. They really kind of lost control over everything. So I kind of brought it in line, brought them some data. And one of the more extreme cases, I used to have an on-site clinic. I brought a doctor in once or twice a week to see injured workers. And I had one girl off the assembly line come in saying her wrist hurt. And we had a lot of upper extremity issues like carpal tunnel, cubital
repetitive
tunnel,
motion injuries, right?
Exactly. So she was saying that she had some carpal tunnel going on. The doctor agreed, so he took her off work. got her some treatment. So I had a good relationship with most of the workers there, and I had a couple of them coming to tell me that, well, she works another job, dancing.
Like showing people how to line dance at the Boot Scoot Saloon.
It has nothing to do with
Nope.
ballet.
Ballet dancing.
Yeah, no.
There's a bar in ballet.
There is a bar, not a
It's not a bar, it's a pole.
So she was a stripper on the side while she was collecting workers' compensation.
Yes. So I called my favorite private investigators, asked them to check on
Was
this
his name
for me.
Dick?
Of course, they were falling all over each other. No. Well, they were falling all over each other on who was going to get the assignment. So they got the video.
Of course. You should see what she can do. She had definitely some repetitive. I'm sorry, my mom's on it. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's like, I don't even want to know. But in the workers' comp world, if you dispute something, you adjudicate it, which means you send it to a workers' comp hearing. So we adjudicated it. We went to the workers' comp hearing.
Is that a private arbitration?
No, it's public. They don't.
Okay.
They're not even allowed to close the doors when you go in front of a hearing officer. So anybody can go in and listen. So she did not show up. So you have the employer shows up, the claimant shows up, the injured worker shows up, and both of you plead your case. Well, she didn't show up.
Was she served?
So it was pretty much Oh yeah.
She got served.
She got served. She knew what was coming down. She quit.
Some due diligence.
She ended up quitting. But the funny thing was, the hearing officer, and you have various hearing officers to hear your cases, he still wanted to see the video.
Of course.
And I told him no. So after that, every time I had that hearing officer for adjudication, we won. I don't know why.
Well, because you let him see the tape.
No, I did not let him see the tape. I said, no, you can't do this.
Well, maybe
Nope.
it's because you didn't let him see the tape. And I could get into stories why that might not be such a good idea. I don't know what this young lady looked like, but anyway. So fast forward. Yeah, you've been involved in corporate nursing or the workers' compensation field for quite some time. You're retired, so I can say who it was. You worked for First Energy for quite a while. Got offered an offer you couldn't refuse, and retired. Now, at this point, folks,
good for you.
My mother retired. Now, this was, I don't know, a year or two ago, maybe 3. 2? And I said, oh, this is awesome. So now my wife can watch my effing kids. That has not.
Wait, your mom, not your wife.
My wife. Yeah, things are getting confusing.
Carol, watch the kids.
I'll just not work and watch the kids and not bring in my salary.
You need to get
back out of this one.
Yeah, I just.
Okay, so my mother retired.
Later.
Let's rewind that real quick.
Someone messed up there.
Yeah, I definitely did. So anyway,
I'm not going to hit him later.
My mother. I appreciate all the times that my mother watches our kids. But Jake, I think you've ran into her a few times. My mother has an insanely awesome social life.
Oh, I've seen
travel
your mom.
life.
Yeah, Barb, I've seen you more than Nick over the years, which is, it's cool.
I think that's absolutely true.
No, it is true. Like, running into places. What have you been doing now since, can't go anywhere? And you're pretty much a travel body.
Well, I'm glad you asked because I took over a social group. So I'm now the organizer of the Akron Canton Wine Group. And at least twice a week, I've been having at least twice a week virtual meetings. So, for example, this coming Sunday, we're doing a wine and donut pairing. This past Friday, we did a wine and chocolate pairing. We've done wine and cheese pairings. And then we do other things in between, too. So we did, because we couldn't go to Dingus Day, I had a Dingus Day virtual party. So a lot of stuff like that. I've had virtual birthday parties for friends. So they're all learning how to do Zoom with me. So.
Yeah,
Zoom is the death of me.
Zoom is the one who's making out during this pandemic that we're currently living in. It's a,
Zoom and Walmart.
I'm assuming it's an app. I don't have it, but I probably should.
It's a. Oh, no, I've cut out already. Can you hear me?
Kind of hear you. I would just share my microphone. Let's do a duet.
Yeah,
like
that'd probably
old,
be better. You guys
old
are kind of
Nashville style.
Yeah,
There
no,
you go.
Zoom is kind of the death of me because I mean we've been doing Zoom dance class, Zoom therapy, Zoom preschool class, circle time, and I mean yes, it works for Adelaide, but and then I'm supposed to do Zoom happy hour with my coworkers tomorrow.
It doesn't.
So,
sound
Mom,
like-
you.
Anyway,
So this isn't answered by how does Zoom work?
I think it's like
just
this, right?
Really.
It's just like this. Okay.
so you can,
But
you
I can see.
choose.
I do it on my laptop, and I can see 25 people at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can choose like a gallery view and see everybody, or you can just pick who is talking, and they'll be the biggest person on your screen.
And it's an app I download.
Yep.
So it's like better software than this. I
it
don't
works
know.
So why
out
don't we
pretty good.
why don't we go on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I've already paid for this, Jake. But
Well, we can't broadcast Zoom.
Fine, then you don't
Oh,
have to
can.
come
You can
with
do.
us.
You can
It's
do
a
Zoom
different-
on
it's a different
Facebook
service.
and YouTube. Yeah, you can.
oh no kidding.
And you can make breakout
simultaneously?
rooms.
Channel two.
Simultaneously?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
Does it
so you
cost
can
any
do
money?
breakout rooms where you can send people to other rooms too if they want to chat about certain subjects and then bring them all back.
Like you can say, get a room,
realize you're not-
kids.
Get a room, guys. You're getting too steamy.
Yeah.
Go over there and talk your weird thoughts.
Well, for
That
a while
sounds
there,
great.
when I first started it, everybody
sounds really
wanted to
good.
talk about COVID. So then I'm thinking I'm going to just move the COVID people here because some people don't want to hear it.
Yeah, segregate those COVID people.
Right. Yeah, just get rid of them. But now
Separate but
I-
equal.
All right,
I
German,
started-
keep segregating the persons.
But now what
Sorry,
I do,
go
I
on
have a
there.
structure and I start every meeting with a drinking game. So I have 15 questions and they're yes or no questions. And you take 1 drink for yes and 2 drinks for no. And if you're wrong, you have to take a penalty drink.
Are you drinking Schlivitz?
How
No.
fast is that?
I'm going to stop. I mean, why am I on your show? I'm going to start going on her show.
I know my
Yeah.
mom's show
Yeah.
sounds way
Please
better
come.
than mine.
Nick, I told you, your mom's like much cooler than you are, dude. I don't even know
I
why I
already
still
knew
hang out
that.
with you.
Why in the hell am I even having her on here? This is gonna
Yeah, so when
kill
is
this.
so when
Sarah's
is
already
that show?
left.
Screw
Yeah,
the
Sarah,
Von
she's-
Akron show. It's going to
Yeah.
be Von Hobble.
Sunday, the next show is Sunday, and that's the wine and donut pairing.
Wine and donut pairing.
So do you
All right, yes.
publish
Send
like
us-
what these?
Send us a link.
Okay.
Do you publish what these pairings are beforehand? I would assume you need to, so
Yes.
everybody can get what they're gonna have.
Yeah, so it's like virtual wine tasting. So we've done virtual wine tastings where these are the couple wines you go buy, and then we try them. I've done another one where we're talking about the different flavor profiles for different wines, how to taste wine, and then we did the chocolate and cheese, and now we're going to do donuts.
Sounds good. So, yeah, I wish Sarah was here because this is one of her hot button topics, and maybe she'll join again. But so my mother is a medical professional, and we've talked about it to death. So we're not going to get too in depth. But Mom, like, where do you think we are right now in this whole COVID thing? What has been your impression? Do you have an idea of what it's going to be like? Because my personal opinion, I've said this before, is that I think we have a very low information situation, and it's really hard to come up with, a solid opinion. But please.
Well, it's interesting because it's a moving target. It looks like almost every day we learn something new about how
Sure.
this virus operates and attacks the human body. So
my
for
God,
me,
you
it's
sound
very
like Dr.
concerning.
Atkins.
It's not just breathing problems. Now they're talking about COVID toes. People that have it have a certain presentation in their toes. Even
I just read about strokes.
strokes in younger
Strokes
people.
in like
So it's
young people.
What's the toes thing? Because
So
it
the
looks like-
toes,
yeah.
the toes have an appearance as if they were frostbitten.
like purple.
And with the oxygenation in the body, it's almost like people have altitude sickness. For some reason, the body is not able to use the
Yeah.
oxygen that's in it.
That makes
it's just
sense.
a very
So
different thing.
what's the situation with the toes though?
well,
They don't know.
Lack of blood
Does it
Well,
getting
does
to
it
the
just-
toes.
if you think about the idea of somebody walking and taking the climb up Mount Everest, and they start getting less oxygen, the less oxygen they get, the less it's gonna go to their extremities, which will expedite frostbite. However, like when you see it,
yeah, but
so I'm weirdly asking this because my toes have looked weirdly purple in the last 2 days.
No, it looks like they've been rubbed. Like, I mean, they have like a rash on them, and and it's weird because it doesn't manifest in any other way.
Did this just become a WebMD diagnosis?
So Kara, for the last week or so, I've been getting cold feet in general, just randomly throughout the day. Actually, it's a certain time during the day.
I've got jokes, but
I will get
Rona.
Yeah, I know. I will get my toes will get cold, and I just can't warm them up, no matter what. And so what I do is I'll go turn on the heater, and then go stand on the vents, and that warms them up, and then I don't have any problems after that.
Yeah, no, I did that today. My feet were really cold. I had cold feet too when I married him, but
yeah,
I had cold feet today.
Got over it.
Before I got in the shower, and I took a hot shower, and they felt better.
So yeah, there's that manifestation, and then I just read a study out of New York. Now, I mean, they said it was alarming, but this was a article in a mainstream newspaper or something, and I mean, literally, this was like 6 people out of the study, but they were younger folks. They were between the ages of like 25 and 40, who had no risk signs whatsoever for stroke, and they ended up having strokes. And they tested positive for COVID-19, which was also kind of weird. But with such a small sample size, I mean, I don't really know that it means anything. But I guess that was interesting too. I suppose it's just going to take a while before we really understand,
what
the full morbidity of this virus.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen down the road?
Yeah, no, my brother's always he's doing all of the things in his Excel sheet and tracking every possible update. If the information isn't coming through that he sees is invalid, he'll find another source, and he has an Excel spreadsheet that builds all of it, and it's got China, Italy, America, etc. on it. But
yeah, so Sarah, have you been able to hear any of this? We just talked.
No.
Okay, that's fine. It wasn't very interesting.
I restarted my phone because I thought maybe there was like background data running or something.
No, that's fine. Actually,
hear you loud and clear.
We'll get into the meat and potatoes right now, actually. So, Mom, as a healthcare professional, as an epidemiologist, and as a concert pianist, as you are,
an expert Christmas tree decorator.
What is your view of what has? Let's not even talk about the national thing, because that's a whole clusterfuck we don't want to get into. But what is your view of how things have been handled in Ohio, both from the beginning of this and now?
Well, I think Ohio really led the way as far as mandating the social distancing. I think that our governor was smart enough to listen to the medical people to do that. Going forward, as we try to reopen the economy, I think it's a crapshoot. I think a lot of people are going to be scared to go out. I think some people are just not going to care and think it's okay. So I think we all need to take personal responsibility and take care of ourselves. And I really don't think we're going to be out of the woods until we have a vaccine.
I went to the store today, and as I walked in, somebody that looked, my judgment of age these days is poor because I'm older, but he may have been 22. And as he was walking in, he grabbed a cart and saw the sign at Giant Eagle that says, "We now have one-way aisles to help with social distancing." And he looked at it and he went, and there's no one for him to even see him do that. What's the purpose of that?
He's young and it's an instantaneous reaction to it.
Just for fun.
He's like, "Oh God, why would you one way?" And it really kind of irritated me, and I wanted to throw some fruit at him. But
And
I did not. So,
and my question too, more to the fact is that, you know, of course, all the social distancing, the quarantine, I have said this before, I'm not going to fault the leadership in Ohio for doing what they've done thus far. But also, I mean, geez, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes because the quarantine and the social distancing and all of this, I mean, you know, Mom, as a medical professional, I'm going to keep throwing out your credentials there. I mean, there are serious, you know, even with the economic situation, there are serious repercussions from not working, not having an income, all of this stress, all the worries, all the economic issues that will, you know, proceed from this. And even just if you're fine economically, just from being isolated. I mean, luckily I have a family that I just love and I can't get enough of. But, you know, it can be tough.
it's all really good here, I swear.
And when you look at all the costs, again, I don't have an answer, but you know, when you look at all of the costs to human well-being and human life, I mean, we're at a point where it just, gosh, again, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. I don't know if you like have any thoughts about reopening and before you answer that, you know, we want to go on vacation in 2 weeks. It would be freaking sweet.
It's actually less than, it's a week and a half.
And whenever it is, but we just, you know, we're waiting to see if that happens and we're kind of weighing the pros and cons and trying to decide if we're going to go. But I mean, it's a really tough situation. I wouldn't want to have to make these decisions. And the third point is, do you know Amy Acton by chance? If you're run across her?
If what?
Oh, Amy Acton. Anyway, go ahead.
No, basically what he's saying, you sound like a nice, calm, collected person that could talk to the public like Dr. Acton. So that's what he was like.
Well, and I think that's the nature of when you're in healthcare, you can't get worked up over things because then people feed into that reaction. So you've got to remain calm in all situations. That's just the way you have to be.
Thank you for doing that when we talked to you about the cold feet, because Kara and I are probably both freaking the hell out right now.
So, I mean, how do you feel about everything opening back up? Like, is now the right time to do this?
You know, if you look at the recommendations, it's not, I think, for any state. But here we go. I mean, I think at least they're trying in Ohio, they're trying to do it in a measured fashion. So first on Friday, we're going to open things up for elective surgeries and then move on from there. At least they have a measured plan.
Thank God, because I need those lip injections.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah, but like elective surgeries, I mean that's a minute amount of people that are getting that. We also have, you know, they're opening up the things in, you know, outside economically with, you know, retail and stuff like that. That's where it's like, you know, and what.
Jake, how do you feel about the fact that the first thing that the governor said was we would like everyone to wear these masks, and it sounded like he was mandating them, and the next day he rescinded that. I am not okay.
It was a straight up political move.
Yeah,
it was a straight up political move. It does. I mean, well, yeah, so it's going to be.
He's been really good at not kowtowing to politics this whole time.
I agree. And then this is one of those where he did that.
And that it really kind of irritated me that he went from let's do this.
What's that, Dave?
Everyone do this, and then it'll keep everyone safe. And the next day he got so much flack for it. He's like, well, never mind. Let's not mandate these. Because my office is already going to mandate masks when we go back. But I don't have to go back probably until June, hopefully. Sales is going back on
Dave, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that basically exactly what Kara said, that he rescinded it not because he was being political, but because people were being political, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I get that.
I mean, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't in this kind of political
I
environment.
think it's one of those
right
things
now
where
anyways.
I think it's one of those things. If you're in a corporate structure where you have a limited people that you don't like, you know what's coming into your office, you know what you're doing, and you know places you're going. That's
Yeah.
one thing, and you can police your own people. If you're in a situation of a retail store, though, I think
You
you should
don't-
have to have it a mask to do something to go in
Yes.
there, just for the protection of other
okay.
people.
First off, if you're going to a store that is retail, outside of, I mean, like grocery stores, I'm going with a mask because I'm protecting myself and I'm protecting the person that's next to me if I run across somebody. And it's if it's a retail store they're going into for what, clothes or something outside of essential goods.
People are stir crazy and they're going to go places just to go there, especially if they're allowed to open up now, because they've been bottled up and people aren't meant to be bottled up. So they're going to go places regardless. Anybody who's like, I don't really care, especially if they just don't think this is, is going to affect them. So it's like, how do you get these situations to,
so
honestly,
is it not,
right and safely?
is
the
it not
activity-
about retail stores just thought like they can't produce the masks for people to come into their stores, or they're I just don't know, like maybe it's because the people won't wear them coming in, or the retailer can't provide them for everybody that comes in because PPE is already like low inventory.
Okay, well then, to the whole group then, do you think you should have to wear a mask to go into a store?
Yes.
It's up to the store.
Yeah, I think it's up to the store.
Yes.
Personally,
Ultimately, it's up to the store.
Mother.
Obviously, there could be other mandates from state
Barbara.
powers or whatever, but
Barb.
You got to weigh in on this.
Barb.
I
Are
can't,
you
Kara,
hearing?
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we
I
we
can hear you.
we can hear
Okay,
you.
I
Uh-oh.
didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Barb, what is your
Still not
stance
here.
on can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're
Barb,
gonna
can you hear
translate
us?
because this is happening again. Translate through Jake.
Diggs and Jake and David, I
Okay.
hear you.
Okay,
Nick,
Barb.
I don't hear you guys.
Barb, okay, I'll ask the question for him.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
So do you think that
That's
people
fine.
should have to wear? Do you think people should have to wear masks in stores? As
I
he
think-
said, as a medical professional, do you think that
Yes.
people should have to wear masks in stores?
Yes, I do. So, I mean, I think we all have to be civic minded and think about the greater good beyond ourselves. I understand why they don't want to say it's mandatory, because that's the government, long arm of the government saying you must do this. But I think we all have to take it in as our civic duty. We have a pandemic. This hasn't been around for 100 years, and we need to do our part to protect ourselves and the people around us in our communities.
So then, if Dave, you said it should be up to the stores, and Nico, you said the same thing. So then,
Well,
how
yeah.
does it come down
I-
as us as our civic duty to make sure that everybody complies?
I said
No,
ultimately it should be up to the stores. Before, I mean, regardless of what the state mandates, ultimately the store should be able to decide whatever it wants to do. But the state mandates and the state and the things have to follow. Otherwise,
Yeah.
whatever could happen to them.
And
But,
I'll piggyback off of what Dave said. I think that it should be up to the stores to mandate it.
And I still can't hear Nick. Hey, I'm gonna leave and I'm coming back here.
Yeah, I'll bring it back in. But I still think it should be up to the stores to decide whether or not they want to do that. But I think it should be up to the consumers, and hopefully through social pressure and that market pressure that says, well, if you don't require it, then I'm not going to go in there.
Right. Well, just like, it's just because stuff has opened up May 1st. PJ was like, oh, I kind of want to, I hope the gyms open up, kind of situation. And I said, I don't feel. I was like, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
I
want.
Well, they're not, and,
First
and
off,
a lot of
just
places aren't
because
even
things-
opening.
Use your
Just because things- the point-
cans of
Wait.
creamed corn and
the
gallons
point
of milk.
that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is
Sorry.
that regardless of whatever day they want to open up, I don't plan on doing anything for at least 2 weeks after that, because
Right.
I don't. because I mean, like you
I'm
said,
not gonna walk out there. Yeah.
when I said ultimately it's up to the business, really what you pointed out, Nick, was that ultimately it's really up to the consumer. Like it really is. And I'm actually ashamed that I forgot.
Oma.
Well,
I can hear you now.
Oh, good. And like Dave, it's ultimately up to the consumer, but a lot of consumers are dumbasses, but they're going to go in. So businesses need to take leadership because shit. I mean, that's basically what's happened this entire time, right? I mean, we haven't got much top down. I mean, we've had to basically guide ourselves.
So you think it's so you don't think they should have to then?
I don't think they should be mandated to. No, I don't think they should be.
Mandates are mandates. That's just what they are. We had a stay-at-home order. Nobody's following that.
No, not on the mandate thing. No, Dave, what do you mean by you're a Darwinist on this?
I mean, let's be clear here. If you don't want to stay home to save your family, your elder generation, then I am.
Selection.
My mom for some reason thinks it's necessary to come over and bring me all kinds of stuff.
My mom hasn't left her house really other than go for a walk. She orders everything sent to her. She hasn't left at all.
Even so,
Well, my mom went from not believing this existed to the extremist of Lysoling her groceries. So what is this? Now I'm gonna wipe everything down.
I'm somewhere in the middle.
I'm a Darwinist. When I said that, I'm not going to fault people for going out there and being reckless with their lives because that's what you want to do. That's fine. I'm not going to do that.
Look, and it's all about how you consume information is what this is, and I think we have very low information, and that's why I would err on the side of caution. And I would advise people to err on the side of caution. But look, if you want to take your bullshit information, you completely believe it, and you want to just roll with it, I mean, it's a free country. Go do it. But you gotta face those consequences, and that's why I said I don't think you should be required to wear a mask to go into a business. But I think it is definitely imperative on the business to make that decision. Like no shoes, no shirt, no mask. No service.
Right.
And if they're prudent and they care about their customers, they'll do that. Or, maybe they're right. Maybe it isn't anything to worry about. I don't know.
There are cases of businesses saying that you can't wear a mask. You can't shop here if you are wearing a mask because they were getting robbed.
So real quick, the best meme I saw was if you were running naked through a grocery store and both of you are naked, I gotta go in a second. But so if the one person peed, you'd get peed on too because you're both naked. If you had if the other guy had pants on, you'd only get a little bit of it. And so if both people had pants on, you'd get none. You'd get none.
Yes.
That's the best.
Adelaide is yelling that Ellie has robbed her. She should probably go.
Ellie has robbed Adelaide. So I have to go.
Breaking news! Breaking news on the Von Akron Show.
I'm sorry. This is the first.
I saw that meme that she was talking about.
First crime in Mogador in a long time.
Robbery.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I don't know what in the heck's going on up there. Anyway, but yeah, that's. I like to take a more laissez-faire approach to things. But
I agree with. I'm actually in the same situation as Dave on this, where it's like I don't want to go out. Like I'm still on the list waiting for my unemployment to get approved. Still haven't gotten that to go through.
Jesus Christ,
I don't know what that situation is. I haven't done Uber Eats or done any sort of income just based on I want to see what's going on with that, and I don't want anything to affect it. So yeah, and I'm okay right now. Like I'm fortunate enough that I have enough that's going to pay my bills through the month of May. But everything after that is kind of like So I'm in a situation like you that I can stay home and not go as much as I want to go do things and experience stuff. It's like, and if I am going to go out, like I don't know, I'm going to take the proper precautions for me that in the situation of where I'm going.
Man,
I don't want to
Do
go
I-
to a place where there's like, going to be a whole group of people just walking around like doing whatever. But at the same time, I don't think there's an issue if you go over to a friend's house who also is, hang out in the backyard or something as the weather gets better, something like that.
Hey, look, I think my friend Sam Topper was able to join. Let's see if we can hear you, Sam. Say something.
Something.
I can hear you.
Something?
It is very
quiet.
quiet.
All right.
Hold on, man. I got the Bluetooth.
Oh, that sounds better
on me.
already.
Yeah, better.
Yeah. So, yeah, Sam, what do you have to add to this
lean
topic?
forward.
Yeah.
Well, I missed a lot of the conversation because I was trying to figure out my. Everything just went dark. It's back up.
Shit. Yeah, you're kind of frozen.
We were just talking about how everybody getting like.
Am I here?
Yes,
What
you
is
are here.
this? Is this
You're
reality?
there, but there's like a really bad.
Yeah, there's a little bit of feedback, but it's not too terrible. So go ahead, Sam.
Well, like I was saying, I lost a lot of the conversation because I was trying to fix my internet issue, which I'm not sure I actually fixed.
No.
Not 100%, but we were discussing whether or not you should have to have mandatory masks for going into retail spaces, because Governor DeWine initially kind of hinted that that would be a requirement, and then he sort of walked that back the next day. He highly recommends them, but doesn't require them. My position on it was that I think it should be up to the stores, but then I gave a whole lot of nuance to that. We've heard a couple other positions, and now you have got a little.
Okay, but okay, bye. Bye, Sam.
Sam, let's try this again some
Bye.
other
Thanks
time.
for coming.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah, you had a good run. Okay, going back on that though, Nick, so do you think then at the same time, do you think that how do you feel about the employees being mandated that they have to do it? Is it kind of like, aren't those the ones getting fucked over then?
Well, no, because okay, yeah, again.
They come up with all
ultimately,
kinds of rules.
They do. They have all kinds of
time.
rules. And I don't necessarily think it should be mandated, but I don't have like a real hard on as far as like opposing that, because like there's all kinds of work rules and there's OSHA and there's all that shit. So, I mean, it's the least. Like, how is that really fucking them? I mean, you got to wear a mask. It's not the end of the world.
Okay,
Plus,
but at the same time, though, no going back. Not only fucking them, okay, it's a bad choice of words.
Okay.
But at the same time, you said like, why should they be mandated? Why do they have to be mandated? And the other people are coming in, sharing in the same space, whether you're getting gasoline, whether it be whatever.
The mandation, being mandated to isn't what the problem is. It's who's mandating it. That's the issue, right?
I think so too. I mean, because I think every business should.
But the governor's the one who mandated the workers to do it, correct?
Yeah.
So
it
shouldn't
is.
this by the same logic? It was in
asking. It's like
he did.
he can only ask.
No, it's mandated.
Oh.
It is.
It's mandated.
Right.
Well,
starting
look,
what is it, Monday, Nick?
Yeah, Monday. So this gets into another gray area, like philosophically and politically, because I believe in. I believe in as much freedom as you could possibly have, but this whole situation has sort of tested that. And boy, I mean, that's a hard question.
Because I agree with your guys' argument that the government should not mandate people to wear masks, but at the same time, that the same thing applies, and the government should not mandate the employees that they have to wear masks either. If that's the situation, then how do you cover the ones that aren't going to go work because of that?
Well, should be it's up to the employer to mandate to his workforce, but I mean, the employer is sanctioned by the government also. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was going to go that way, Dave, and I think that's a road I don't want to go down. But
that's
I was going to go that way.
that's just it. That's it. Doesn't really, honestly, it doesn't really matter, because like what Nick had said before, it really is up to the consumer. The people, if a business doesn't have that on the door, don't go in. It's that simple.
Well, yeah, and let me pull a justification I just pulled right out of my ass too, is that consumers should be able to walk into any business as long as they meet whatever requirements the business has for them being customers, right? But as far as the business is concerned, I mean, they can make that a cost of doing business. I mean, they can provide all their employees, and they should. Look, if you are requiring your employees to wear PPE, you need to provide that.
No, I think we all agree on that.
Mhm.
So, that's sort of like that reverse idea. But again, I mean, a lot of this goes against, what I've held for a long time. But I think different times call for different measures. My mother's been patiently shaking her head, listening to me cuss, and just being a general bad son. What do you think about this?
Okay, so for workplace issues,
Mm-hmm.
and Dave's right. I mean, the government is involved with that, and that organization is called OSHA.
Mm-hmm.
So OSHA mandates that you have to provide a safe work environment for your employees. So if you're an employee and your employer says thou shalt wear a mask at work, then you have to do it. So then you go to like the general public. We don't have control over the general public. That's more of your own civic duty, whatever, however you want to frame that up. So, I mean, we don't go into the stores completely naked, because that's just
right.
not
No
the norm.
shoes, no shirt,
exactly.
no service.
So this is like a new day, or whatever you want to call it. It also, with shoes and shirt, people are going to start wearing masks. We're making a shift on this, on what's going to be the norm until we have that vaccine. And it's just for protection. Will we get everybody to do it? Probably not.
No.
Can we pass laws to make people do it? Probably not.
Well, you could, but then you have enforcement costs and everything else that goes into that, and that just gets crazy.
I think a lot of it also is going to play into the factor of the information we get after this starts to happen too, because
yeah, and the information we're getting right now. I mean, there's a lot of bullshit information out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, you said that. Okay, not the bullshit information, but we need like the legitimate information. It's like, what is the legitimate information?
Good question.
We don't know. I mean,
that's the scary thing.
It is, and I will give you an example. A couple years ago, when the Ebola virus came to the United States,
mm-hmm.
and it was in, I think, Houston, where they had their first case. The CDC lost their minds. The nurse that took care of the first Ebola patient came to Akron, Ohio.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember
the
that.
bridal shop went out of business because of that.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And one of her bridesmaids worked for my company. And let me tell you, I worked 12 hours for 2 weeks working on a whole protocol for Ebola. And the virus wasn't even here. She was just exposed. But what we found out from the local health department and the CDC is, again, it's a moving target. Well, you can't get Ebola unless you actually touch the infected fluid. Well, no, maybe it does get spread by the air. Well, no, maybe this. They kept changing their minds on everything.
Right.
So, and it's so frustrating now because we don't know what this virus is going to do, exactly how it's spread. Once you have it, do you even have immunity? And we have to understand that, when they say practicing medicine, they're really practicing. They don't get it right the first time.
Absolutely. You know what? And we'll move on here in a second because there's one other subject I want to get onto. But I mean, that's part of the big issue. Addressed this before, but it's like the normal everyday Joe, unfortunately, does not understand how science works. And they take every time something is wrong or shifts or there's another idea, they're like, oh, look at that. They don't know what they're talking about. That's bullshit. And that's not how it works. And then there's the people on the other side. Also, I'm not just going to pick on Joe Sixpack.
People line up. People tend to agree with things that people tend to follow and believe things that agree with their life and their lifestyle of who they are.
Well, you've got the confirmation bias, and it goes not, like I said, just for Joe Sixpack, but it goes the other way too, where people are like, well, science says, like it's an edict from God. I mean, that's not true either. Science constantly shifts. So both sides, oftentimes in popular culture, both sides of this argument are wrong.
That's
and
what
they
I love
don't
about
get
science.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I love about it.
Right?
It's so often forgotten because people, they just want validated in their own ideologies, and they'll use whatever they can from whatever source. And science is one of the best sources to use to validate your claims.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good segue to the last subject I want to get into, because basically what we're saying, to paraphrase, and I might be wrong, but let's go with it, is that science is based on humility, knowing that you don't know, right? So there's been a development today that I'm trying not to wet my pants over and get too excited about, but Justin Amish has decided to run. Now, he's not gotten the nomination, but decided to run as the Libertarian candidate for the president of the United States. And my thought this whole time was that this is a horrible time to do that. Geez, we really need to get rid of this dumb. And then the Democrats nominated another dumb, and I'm like, oh gosh, geez, do I really have to choose between these two douchebags? And then, the Libertarian Party was kind of in my back view because I'm not really involved anymore, and it's a lot of weird infighting and nonsense. But then when I saw that Justin was going to throw his hat in the ring, because I've liked him for a long time, I just got super excited because I watched an interview with him today, and what he said, just again to paraphrase, just like our last discussion, he said, I don't think either of these candidates are fit to be president. I think we need to come at this from a position of humility. And when he said that, I was sold, because that is so rare in politics. And he's been, for folks that don't know Justin Amish, I think he was a congressman out of Michigan. He's been very principled. He was a Republican. He is actually a Palestinian American, I think first generation, second generation. He explains every single vote he takes on social media, and he takes every vote. And he's just, he was an attorney, but he's a real down to earth dude, real straightforward. And I don't know how old he is. I think he's 39, 40, 41 or something, sort of a newer generation. Just what an amazing contrast to me compared to what is running right now. And again, I'm not trying to get excited, but I'm kind of excited about this.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
You're just going to hurt.
Stop. Just stop.
I'm just going to have heartbreak. I know, Dave.
Just stop.
No, I mean, honestly, that nothing gets me excited about politics anymore. No person could run that would make me excited, because anybody who's worth it will never win. We're as far as I can tell, we're going to be perpetually in this BS zone where all we're going to have is just crap as the pendulum swings and swings and swings and swings. Yeah, just get over. Actually,
no, Dave, I agree with you, but you got to be pragmatic.
Beyond that, what we are living in right now is the total. What people don't understand is we are at the evolutionary end of democracy. Clearly, it cannot provide proper representation for all the different ideas that are around the world. It's not possible. It's not possible.
I've been a critic of democracy, although I don't know a better way.
So it's done. What we don't understand yet is that it's done. It's done. It's run its course.
So Dave gets back to entropy once again. His that'll be on your epitaph, I think. Entropy.
Nick,
it's over.
Your reason for not to get excited over over Amish is, he's got to number one, he's got to do what Trump proved you can do. He's got to get enough financial backing to get his message out there.
Well, he's got to do that. He's got to get the nomination first.
He's got to get the nomination, and he's got to get enough. Like he's got to. You have to. The only way you're going to win an election in America, I think, is you have to buy it, which is sad, but it is.
Look,
but
well,
is
Mom,
that democracy?
Do you know who just?
Is over.
First of all,
it's gone.
First of all, Mom, do you know who Justin Amish is?
I do not.
Okay, so Mom is an average voter right now. Okay. And that's not a knock. That's the way it is. Like some of us who have been following that sort of thing, we know who he is. Look, guys, you're both right. I mean, we're kind of doomed. But
would you vote for a third party, or are you going to vote?
I voted for a third party at the last election.
Jill Stein?
No, who was the libertarian?
Gary Johnson.
Yeah, that's who I voted for.
Yeah, well, Justin
I
Amish
voted
is
for
even
Evan
better.
McMullen so Gary Johnson could win.
Yeah, because a vote for Evan McMullen is a vote for Hillary, is a vote for Trump, which is
No,
also
there was actually solid logic behind it, because it was if Evan McMullen was polling very high in Utah because of his Mormon ties.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If it would have come down to a tie with the amount of electoral votes, it could have come down to the state of Utah. And Evan McMullen, if he would have taken the state of Utah, it would have then gone into a Republican-controlled House of Representatives who would never elect Hillary. I probably guarantee you they weren't going to go with Trump.
Oh, they did not like Trump. It would have gone with the third highest voter, which would have been Gary Johnson. So I voted for Evan McMullen so Gary Johnson could win. And so if anybody says I didn't put any thought process behind my vote, they're full of it, because I totally did. Did he win? No. Did it happen? No. Did it have a chance? Yeah, a 1 in 1 billionth. But you know what? It was still there.
So look at this. Everybody needs to talk to their mom, because obviously I got my mom to vote for Gary Johnson. If everybody would talk to their mom,
there you go.
You know, this could spread like wildfire. Justin Amish, look, Dave, I understand where you're coming from.
It's not going to happen. It's not, but it's not just that. One, my mom's going to vote Trump, but there's no talk, and there's no talking about it either. But that's what we're up against. Nobody. I mean, honestly, we're up against the entire Boomer generation. Number one. And then, right, and then slightly post-boomer.
Yeah, post-boomer, 70s. You know,
that's yeah, right, sure.
That's slight.
She's more of a Gen X.
But
girl.
even so, but we're up against that, and then all of their influence also. But I used to say, you don't strategically vote. You vote your conscience. You vote your heart. You vote your. But that's all bullshit, obviously. Because what's that do? Honestly, but the thing is that if all the progressives and all the libertarians could get together and say, look, we are not going to accept these BS candidates anymore. Mm-hmm. We together could change that. We could flip it every 4 years.
Exactly. Somebody needs to tap into that Sanders movement. Somebody needs to, because there's a whole movement there that wants their voice to be heard.
Two whole
really, really badly.
Together, they can actually make real change, like things that we all agree upon, like term limits, like taking money out of politics, like screwing the banks, like
vote for Dave?
Insurance companies.
Vote for Dave.
All of those.
Come on, Dave, get in the election.
No,
no one will vote against Santa Claus, I guarantee you.
I think our election cycles are too long too. I think I saw something somewhere. I think in the UK they do like 6 weeks or something like that where they're allowed to campaign. Here they're doing it for years. It's ridiculous. That needs to stop.
Well, here's the Achilles heel too of the Libertarian Party is that they were going to have their convention at the end of May. Now that's been canceled. They're going to do it sometime in July, maybe. So even if Amish is the candidate, it's like, how much time does he have to get the message out? But to that effect,
he's going to be zooming his ass off.
This year, I was thinking, look, I'm going to violate my own principles for the first time in my life and vote for a major party candidate just because I wanted to vote strategically, right? And then these buttholes gave me Joe Biden, hair sniffer, kind of rapey fella, to go up against another guy I don't like. And I'm like, gee whiz, come on. You guys have got to be kidding me. But I was still going to do it. And then just give me this emotional win. Okay, today I saw Amish was running and I'm like, oh, thank God I won't have to vote for Biden. This is great.
It's over. Don't be fooled. It's over.
I'm not
You don't
fooled, Dave.
understand.
This is my first rodeo. Just let me enjoy it while I can.
Don't
Don't take away his moment. Why do you got to do that to him?
Dave is against.
He hasn't been this excited in forever, and you're like,
I
no,
haven't
dude,
been.
No,
I haven't
no.
been.
It's just
Dave
terrible.
is anti-serotonin. He is a buzzkill. A buzzkill. Dave is a buzzkill. Look, I'm gonna get over it. I'm gonna be
I
disappointed.
love how he's no-selling that too. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm just honest.
Right now, I just want to live off the endorphins by imagining in my crazy, stupid head, just like most of my crazy ideas, like when I'm gonna do whatever. Right.
The only use in doing that is that you don't have to think about the coronavirus while you're doing that. That's the only use in doing that.
But this is the perfect time for a third-party candidate that
no,
is
it's
as
not.
solid.
It's always a perfect time. It's always a perfect time.
Dave, do you understand this is the most important election of our lives?
20 years, when has it not been a perfect time?
I'm being facetious, Dave. I know everything Dave, I internalize and I understand everything you're saying. I just don't care.
This is the most important election of our time.
This is like,
live on CNN.
David, why do you want to kill Santa Claus? Let me have the Easter Bunny. Let me have Santa Claus. At least let me have the Tooth Fairy. Come on, dude. You're killing my dream.
There are two things that can save us, and neither of them are us. Okay, it's either alien invasion or a giant meteor. That's it.
Well, a giant meteor won't save us.
There's no saving us. We have been this way forever.
So do you have like a survival? Like, are you teaching your kids how to fight out back in the garage now to prepare for the incoming?
We go on mushroom hunts all the time. I mean, I show them how to cook and stuff. And make things from scratch. I do that kind of stuff all the time.
Okay,
but
kids, today we're gonna.
It's awesome.
We're gonna prepare for your inevitable slavery and death. Because that's what kind of optimistic guy I am.
Honestly, that would be more exciting than what's going on right now. Like the way that people politicize even this goddamn pandemic is absolutely nerve-wracking. People
I agree with that.
It's just like, stop. Just stop.
Everything is so politicized.
It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. There's so much mass that you can't possibly actually stop it. Even if you have the ability to move through slow motion through the train wreck, you would never be able to save everybody off the train. You just gotta watch it happen. I'm so bored. I'm bored with the political. I'm bored with getting excited about really awesome candidates. I'm bored with that. It's not going to work ever.
Well, Dave, I haven't stopped believing in Santa Claus. Okay,
I'm a broken man.
Guys, Christmas is
you might be a right man.
I'm definitely right. Democracy is basically dead, and we don't know. We know is evolutionarily for the size of our civilization on this planet. It's never going to work again.
Was it Nietzsche or Camus? Which one of the two just broke? He was okay, and then eventually he broke down in the streets at the sight of a donkey pulling a cart and just went insane, and nothing was ever better again.
Who?
I think it was Nietzsche. But anyway, yeah, you could be right, but jeez, drop some bombs anyway.
Well,
I don't know. My generation called that being a Debbie Downer. I don't know.
Yeah, a Debbie Downer,
I'm
Dave.
Sorry. I really am.
A Debbie Downer.
But you know what? It's a hard pill to swallow. But once you swallow it, then life gets a whole lot easier. Because then you just realize, you know what? Why ride shotgun to this fucking shit show, right? Why not just ride in the back seat and just look out the window at all the pretty cows? Even if they're dead and upside down and bloated, it's something to look at.
What did he say during the Big Lebowski? Well, at least the Nazis have an ethos. They're not nihilists. And with that, folks, I appreciate everybody being on the show tonight. I can't believe my mother endured this entire thing.
I don't know. I think your mom should become like a permanent part of the show.
I think she should be the host.
Honestly, there you
go.
Let me check my schedule first.
Go join my mom for donuts and
she's offering donuts and wine. What the hell have you offered any of us?
Nothing. Nothing
committed
but
our time to you. We
but
got nothing.
obviously
Literally, first time
hollow
off the bat.
optimism.
She recognizes our talent. She's like, "Hey, I'll give you donuts and wine. What's up?"
I just
I'll
want to
give
put
you a
this out
reason.
there. Anybody who wants me to vote for their candidate, you can just sign a check for $2,000. I'll vote for whatever candidate you want me to vote for.
Hey,
Wasn't
I
that
put that out there
Yang?
too. Oh, Yang was going to do that. No, I was going to vote for him. if
Well,
he
yeah,
would've
it's
done
got to
that.
be at least 2,000 because Trump's already paid me 1,200.
Of my money.
Well, that guy's a
God,
sucker.
that's not good story, man. This is going down another bad road, folks.
Better to end it now.
At any rate, look, everybody. I appreciate you joining tonight. Don't stop believing, as Journey said, and if you do stop believing, you'll be much happier, according to Dave, Entropy, No Santa Claus, Higgins.
We can talk about this more if you want later on.
We will do another show about this because I just
Can we
wanna-
do a whole show on this? This could be fun.
Democracy is dead. The whole show.
God is dead. Democracy
So
is
is
dead.
Paul
All this is
McCartney, but
dead.
that's a whole
Yes.
nother
I
story.
never said that about God. I
What
don't
about
know.
Paul McCartney? Is Paul McCartney dead?
No, he lives in an icebox in South America. He grows avocados in there. What's so weird about that? Anyway, guys, we got to go before I start making up more shit. Thank you, everybody, for joining the show, and thank you, everybody, for watching the show. And if you're catching this later, stay tuned.
We're sorry.
We're sorry, first of all, and we'll post when we have another one. And Dave will be paying for your meds.
There we go.